The scene is set within Nobility Hill in John Stanhope's domain. After the Primogen meeting, John has quietly sat down in his luxurious apartment, taken a large glass of vitae, and begins to watch through the footage delivered to him via the cameras on his conditioned assault squad. As he goes through the video footage, his grip on the side of his chair grows tighter and tighter. His eyes narrow, and less of the bottle remain as he drinks himself to prevent the beast from occurring. I'm gonna just do a quick self-control roll to see how much he wrecks his own place. Oh, he's good. Barely keeping it on, but he's not a happy man. He takes his phone and he rings his harpy on the Ventrum, Mr. Brehorn, and in a very quick short burst tells him to come to this address forthwith.
Laird makes no delay, this time taking the car at Gleason's after Joe has come home. He, of course, already knows Joe's version of the story. He's shaking his head the entire way while driving, but he doesn't want to delay his prince, or he trails off at that thought. Or what? He's really not sure what to do. This was an unmitigated disaster. He pulls up to Stanhope's residence and parks the car, gets out, and walks to the door, ringing the doorbell.
The residence itself is a multi-structured apartment complex for the exceedingly rich and wealthy. The driveway itself has a stone fountain and beautifully laid gardens. This particular building seems it houses quite a few residents, although that's just on surface value. You go through the reception to the sleepy security guard, who does no more than wave you through, up the elevator to the third floor to the apartment that John has indicated. Before you are 3 steps away from the apartment door, the door opens to reveal the rather dour-faced ghoul you've met before by the name of Jeffrey. You come into this rather minimalist, tastefully designed and decorated haven with a small kitchenette to the side and luxuriously long white leather sofas, where you see John Stanhope is reclining, a glass of vitae in his hand. A computer has been set up on the small coffee table beside it, and you can hear the volume of the computer speaking out, which is obvious, the volume and the transmission from the assault itself.
Laird presents himself, but he doesn't say anything. He looks directly at Stanhope, and you can tell he's a little mortified.
Ah, this is my favorite part right here, he says, and then there's gunshots and screaming and a lot of panic over a security guard's leg. He makes Mr. Brehon wait out about a good half an hour, standing to attention, before he pauses the video. Have you seen the footage?
Laird quietly sighs and then says, "No, I've only heard first-hand accounts so far.
Well,
I do have a copy."
Well, he swivels it round, inviting you to sit to the sofa opposite. Let's watch it together, shall we? He hits rewind.
Lid, of course, sits down, but not in a relaxed manner, just attentively. You can tell that he's not taking the thought of failure well.
The two sit there in silence for a while as the recording goes forward. John leading over eagerly, watching every expression of horror from Mr. Brehon as various events happen within the assault, until the video reaches its end. And he closes the laptop carefully and leans back on the steepled fingers.
Brehon doesn't say anything. Instead, he chooses to close his eyes for a second and readies himself.
As you can probably guess, I'm not best pleased, Mr. Brown.
No, sir, I don't suppose you would be. I'm not pleased either.
When this operation was being discussed, you assured me that your man would be a capable leader, be able to make quick decisions, and to make sure that this particular operation went without a hitch.
He is a capable man, but
Is he?
He is, but I fear that I overestimated his potential in this particular regard. The responsibility falls to me, not to him.
Yes, it does. So, all the time, resources and influence, the pulling of strings, the vast amount of equipment that we commissioned for this particular assault was laid useless under a security staff of a private mental asylum.
I can't believe how many of them there were. We've done so much to try to eliminate their presence. I just don't understand. How large a facility really is this?
I do believe we have underestimated our enemy in this regard. It seems this is a sprawling city unto itself, rather than a small, privately owned mental asylum, which we were led to believe.
All of the security staff, sir, they weren't wearing outsourced badges. They didn't bear the ledger of a company. That's very uncommon, virtually non-existent in the United States.
So what we're dealing with is a kindred who has significant pull to keep his own private security firm in-house.
Almost like a private army. And then the workers. Did you see the part where inside the building, the policeman, Mr. Jenkins, his expression, how it just changed, how he was awash with relief when he was able to step back inside after he walked out for a minute.
This correlates with reports from various kindred who have entered the building. What's most disturbing is that it affects mortals as well, even during the day. He goes to the laptop and goes to a bookmarked area of the video, in which you see the features of one of the security guards change, and he speaks a tongue that no one recognizes and leaps towards Joe.
What language is that?
I have no idea. We will give this particular piece of recording to Mr. Smith. The Tremere will go through their archives. This shows that we were not... that whatever it is under there was awake. It shows the ability to not only project one's thoughts, but to possess a mortal body. This shows that whoever is hiding in there, whether Dr. Morgan or this other being, has significant powers over the sight and of dominate.
Laird nods his head very slightly in agreement, but you can tell that his face, it's as grim as can be. This means that we'll be unsuccessful if we try to dominate other beings to send in there covertly if they get rivered out.
Precisely. And whoever is in charge of this facility is now going to be ultimately aware that we are on to them.
Looking at the fiery wreckage of the main office, could we maybe find out which construction companies are hired? Who does their hiring? Or if they have to replace, say, the policeman who was shot, where they go to source employees?
You say we, Mr. Brehorn.
Well,
This debacle is under your responsibility.
all right. Well, then I suppose that's where I'll have to start.
Yes.
What about Isaac Gustafsson, the doctor?
What about him?
Well, now we have a name that's not Mogan's, who we know is mortal. So I suppose I could try to deduce where he lives.
Mr. Brehorn, this entire operation was an unmitigated disaster. If this was to reach Primogen's ears that I had anything to do with it, my reputation in the city would be tarnished. So, this is your operation, Mr. Brehorn.
I understand.
I do not want to see what happened here escalate. I do not want to hear anything else about it until I hear results. So you may take your copy of the operation and do with it as you will.
He takes the copy you've made for him, assuming it's on a thumb drive or something. But before he gets up, he kind of reclines in the chair, a little more relaxed for the first time. And he says, "This failure really is on me, sir. Normally I can play chess a little better than this."
If I didn't think you were a capable kindred, Mr. Brehorn, you would be in my lab right now. Do not mistake my calm demeanor for acceptance nor forgiveness.
I don't. And I'm not the one to let myself off the hook either. With that, he stands up and he says this: "Congratulations on becoming prince, sire."
This asylum will be dealt with one way or another, and if I need to sling an arrow at a scapegoat, Mr. Brehorn, I have one ready. You may go.
He turns to leave, and he looks at the thumb drive you've given him as he walks out. But you can definitely see that He's not shaken. He's fuming mad. Not at you, but at the scenario. And he's gone.
He watches Mr. Brown go, leaving the building and getting back to his car. One problem at a time. End scene.